The first film I'm going to look at is Olympus Has Fallen. It's directed by Antoine Fuqua. It was released on the 18th of March 2013. The story revolves around Mike, a former assistant to President Benjamin. The story shows on how he finds himself trapped inside the White House because of a terrorist attack, and how he helps rescue himself and the captives. I will be having a look at some scenes within Olympus Has Fallen in order to get some ideas on camera shots for our film. This film is a typical action thriller film. The story, as I've said, revolves around the ex-president assistant called Mike. The President of the United States of America has been kidnapped within the White House by a Korean terrorist in order to cause all of America's nuclear missiles to overheat and explode within their silos. This would cause millions of American deaths. Mike has to free and rescue the President as well as other important people such as the First Lady, who have all been taken hostage within the bunker within the White House, within the safe bunker. The first scene I'm going to have a look at is when the White House is actually taken over by the terrorists. At the end of this scene, there is a long shot showing the White House, which shows us how devastating the attack was on the building. It not only shows us the damage, but it also shows us how significant this is on the American people, while showing us that this is key to the film itself. In a way, it also shows how the American spirit has been broken and how it's touched the nation. This inspired me to put a long shot within our film, like this scene, to show how devastating the scene within our film will be, and try to emphasise a point through the use of a long shot, just as this director has done. My second scene is going to near the end of the film, where Kang, the main terrorist, sends Forbes, who's a traitor to the American people, to try and kill Mike. This leads into a fight in between the two. However, just before the fight breaks out, the camera keeps putting in reverse shots to show how these two know each other, by trying to show emotion on each of their faces. Mike realises that Forbes is allied with the terrorists because he knows Kang's name, which he shouldn't have known. The actual short reverse shot inspired me as well, as I think it's a really good way to show emotion on each of their faces while showing that they actually know each other. The camera goes into Forbes' first person view. When the camera zooms in on the gun within Mike's hand, this gives us a clue that he's going to start a fight in between the two, which is something that I also really liked because it emphasised what was actually going to happen. It was giving clues to us, the audience. The last scene I'm going to look at within the film is the final fight scene in between Mike, the former assistant of President Benjamin, and the prime terrorist and the main terrorist Kang. I especially like this fight scene within the movie because of the quick cuts at the start of the scene. The quick cuts are there to try and confuse the audience and make us not really know who's winning the fight and what's actually going on. Within this scene, at the end of the quick cuts, it slows down and centres for a close-up in President Benjamin's face, while the camera doesn't stay still, it fidgets about. This shows the pain that President Benjamin is feeling, while showing us, the audience, that he's been shot, as well as making us think that he's going to die. Mike then races to help and rescue the President, so the shot speeds up again. So it goes from a slow motion to normal pace, what I really like. Mike then races, like I've said. This inspired me to put some quick cuts within our film in order to make the audience confused about what's actually going on, and in turn it also draws them in to what's going to happen later on in the film. I also like the close-up in President Benjamin's face while the camera was still moving, which really shows what he's feeling at the time. We could use this within our film in order to show emotion on the character's face, and to draw in our audience, as well as show how devastating the scene is while trying to evoke emotional response from the audience themselves. The next film I'm going to look at is Red, Really Extremely Dangerous. The director is Robert Sonero. It was released on the 22nd of October 2010. The plot is, after surviving an assault from a squad of hit team, Retired CIA agent Frank Moses, who's the main character, who's played by Bruce Willis, resembles his old CIA team for an all-out war. Frank reunites with his old Joe, played by Morgan Freeman, Crazy Marvin, played by John Malkovich, and Willie Victoria, who's played by Helen Marine, to uncover a massive conspiracy that threatens their lives. Only the expert training will allow them to survive a near impossible mission, breaking into the CIA headquarters. The first scene I'm going to look at is actually the very opening scene of Red, which is when the CIA try to kill Frank Moses for the first time by sending in this hit team. There's a lot of very good camera shots within the first 10 minutes of the film. However, the one that really inspired me the most is the camera shots that slick to certain things happening, such as Frank walking out of a room and then turning on the oven hob. These camera shots are to actually confuse you, as you don't really know what's going to happen or how he's going to escape and break into the CIA headquarters. The director uses different camera angles before Frank puts the bullets into the frying pan, which really shows the audience what he's doing and is giving them a hint of what's going to happen next. I think that this is a very effective way of giving the audience hints about what's going to happen. The camera keeps switching back from Frank to the bullets until a very clear overlay happens, which goes from Frank's eye into the 9mm bullet before the 9mm bullet goes off. This shot, I would say, is the most inspiring because of the way it's done. The way that the overlay goes from his eye, I think, is very impressive. It would be very hard to do, but I would like to try and have a go at putting some overlays in our film. The second scene I'm going to look at is a little bit further in within the film, just a little bit after the opening scene. It's Frank and his new girlfriend Sarah Ross, played by Mary Louise Parker. They're both in a police car which they've stolen. William Cooper, who's the head CIA officer in charge of killing Frank Moses, who's played by Cole Urban. He rams into the police car. Frank jumps out of the police car while it's still turning around and starts shooting at William. The bit I really like is when the camera shot actually goes into slow motion, like really slow motion, and the police car, it looks like it's almost about to hit Frank. But Frank begins shooting and it nearly knocks him over. But I thought this shot was quite inspiring because of how it's actually done, just like the first shot in the first scene. And it draws the audience in because it's in slow motion. And then what I really like as well is the way it speeds back up afterwards and just misses Frank's leg. I really like this whole slow motion back into normal motion shot because it really emphasises what's going on and it really draws the audience in. Finally, the last scene I'm going to look at for Red is actually near the very end of the film, when the president candidate who's going for presidency has gone under attack after his election due, and the Red team, meaning Frank Moses and his old team, are having a gunfight against the president or the president candidate and his protection bodyguards. These are actually inspiring camera shots because they actually, in this section, which is when Ivan Seymour, played by Brian Cox, goes down the elevator and it keeps switching back from him back to the gunfight while taking a long shot from outside a parking lot. I really like the camera switches from the different scenes because it sets the scene and it really sets like how big this scene is and how it really emphasises the importance to the film. And this inspires me to sort of put a scene within our film, or suggest putting a scene within our film where they show camera shots from every angle so you get every view of actually what's happening. Finally, the last film I'm going to look at is Now You See Me Too. The director is John Minchung. It was released on the 4th of July 2016. It's the second sequel to the first one, Now You See Me. The plot is, during the performances, the world's greatest illusions, known as the Four Horsemen, pull off a series of daring heists around corrupt business leaders. The super team of illusionists shower the stolen profits on their audience by staying one step ahead of an elite FBI squad in the game of cat and mouse, really. The first scene I'm going to look at is when the guards get suspicious of the magicians within one of the facilities they're in. So they start searching them. They pass the Ace of Spades with the computer spark which they've actually stolen just before to each other while keeping it hidden from the guards. I really like this shot because it's really cleverly done, the way the card just flicks over the hand as well as the camera shot of the card travelling to the other characters. The way the card actually looks like it's being passed and breezed to the others is a very creative way of showing it. It really shows that it's magical. It really emphasises the actual point of the film about magicians. However, what I like the best is about this shot is when it goes down the sleeve and you can actually see the card moving inside the clothes, as well as the guard patting him down, and how close he is to actually getting the card. My second scene, what I'm going to look at within this film, is part of the official trailer itself. At the start of the trailer, there is some inspiring camera shots when there's a long shot through a broken rusty car's windscreen. One of the magicians throws a playing card through the windscreen. The card stays on the bonnet of the car, but that one particular camera shot is inspiring because it's simple but it also creates a lot of effect as the director is trying to show the magician's skills. Just this one simple camera shot draws in the audience, wowing them. The final and very last scene I'm going to look at is when one of the magicians controls the rain, and it shows that he's powerful and everyone is amazed. The camera shot looks like a vortex, which creates the illusion of power and wisdom. The camera shot inspired me because it shows that that one person's got the power, that the whole scene revolves just around that one person. This would be good to use, not the vortex itself, but to just create an illusion of power. So, something simple but yet complex at the same time. The camera shot afterwards is also inspiring because it zooms out and there's a reverse zoom which creates an illusion of power as well. Again, it's simple but it's very effective.